Okay, Johan, so number 31, we are now live. Welcome to the SQL Hangouts. I probably have to say, finally, welcome to the SQL Hangouts. A few words for you, Johan. Again, welcome.
Thank you, Boris. Hi, my name is Johan. I'm a Norwegian SQL Server fanatic, I can say.
Yes.
I've been working, I can boast that I've been working with SQL Server since version 7, but that was a month, and we upgraded to 2000. So
that's a good decision, by the way. That's a good decision.
Yeah, it was pretty much.
Yes.
And mostly I've been doing odds and ends on business intelligence. I've been an accidental DBA for some time, but business intelligence mostly, and coming into QlikView as well. So I've been working with in-memory for technology for about 3 years.
Interesting. Now. That's nice.
And that's part of what we're doing here. I've seen that the QlikView way of doing in-memory technology is very much transferable to how Tabular and PowerPivot works. Yeah. So we thought we should talk about that a bit.
Yeah, absolutely. So you have seen a lot of BI projects, you have worked on a lot of BI projects, and we decided to talk about something very interesting, and that's the topic of performance tuning. Even in the business intelligence world, that's a hot topic, and that's a hot topic absolutely all the time. So we decided to talk about optimizing Tabular and in general the PowerPivot stuff and tabular models, of course. I have a question, by the way. Is that possible? Can you optimize something like this?
Yeah, you can.
What's your approach? What's the approach of doing something like this?
Well, the thing is, because of, I'm going to mix the different definitions of what the engine is called. It's Vertipack or
different
names, but I usually end up calling them Vertipack anyways. But,
okay.
Yeah, then in-memory engine that is working on both Tabular and on PowerPivot.
Yep.
It's very much focused on columns.
Yep.
And it's not as happy on doing lots of tables, lots of dimensions. So your general approach to a multi-dimensional model is going either through snowflakes or a star schema, and you can have rather complex star schemas or very complex snow schemas. Whereas an in-memory technology would like to have as few tables as possible.
Okay, so you should keep your model in general as small as possible, right? Something like, give me only the needed columns, no more, no less.
Yeah, so you can have a giant fact table, so lots of columns if you want.
Yep.
But you don't have too many dimensions.
Yeah.
And you avoid snowflakes.
Okay.
So normalize your dimensions so you only have one jump from the fact table to the dimension.
Okay, so less joins better.
Yeah.
Okay, cool enough. Okay, but the main question is, it sounds like when someone says, okay, that's in memory, so it should be fast. Is that always true from your experience? I know that you were working on something like this recently.
Yeah, no, it's not. It's again, depends on what you're doing with it.
Yeah.
Very leading question. Well, the thing is, because it's in memory, you're thinking it has to be fast anyway.
Yeah.
But you start stuffing things like DAX formulas and calculated columns in there.
Yep.
And the more of these calculations that the model has to do, the slower it becomes. And the more jumps it has to do between the dimensions to reach the fact table or to the join to the fact table, the slower it becomes.
Okay, so that doesn't sound like this technology resolves every performance problem you can have.
No, and of course, tabular model is great, but as Stacy Meissner is want to tell you, it doesn't solve everything.
Yes.
It will be blazingly fast for some things, but for other things it will be too slow.
Yeah, I also did something like this. We started with Tabular, and then we hit a limitation of the Tabular model in regards to the many-to-many. And I know that you can do that with DAX, but that was not the case. I mean, it was just not the case. And that's why we switched to the multi-dimensional. Obviously, Tabular. By the way, what's your opinion? Do you believe that Microsoft will push in the Tabular world in the upcoming releases? Because I can feel that they're going there.
I think that they will be going there because the multidimensional is a mature model. It has everything working for it as it is, whereas Tabular is still in development.
Yeah.
So for now, I don't see multidimensional going away, but I see a lot of features coming into the Tabular model.
To the Tabular. Okay, yeah. So going back to the I was just curious about your opinion. Going back to the performance stuff. So your first advice is keep your model as small as possible. That's the first thing. What else can we do to improve PowerPivot or Tabular?
The second thing you can do is, especially when you're working with a SQL Server as a relational database, put the calculations and transformations into the ETL run instead of doing it in the model.
So instead of doing DAX formulas, put that in the SSIS packages to generate the data, the calculations? Okay.
If you have that option, I would do that. Same thing, you can do the same thing in PowerQuery as well.
Okay.
You can transform the data because DAX calculations require CPU and it requires memory to perform.
Okay.
So as many of those that you can pull out of the model will save you memory that you can use for other things instead.
That sounds good. That sounds good. Okay, something else on top of your head? This, because I have heard some suggestions, but I'll ask you after a moment.
Again, I like to have a large fact table. That means it will process slower, but when it's up and running, it will perform better than a smaller one.
Yeah, so with the calculations.
Depends on what you need, but most generally, I find that a large fact table will perform better in case you are not required to have lots of refreshes going. So it's not very good for direct query mode, but it will be for just regular in-memory mode.
Yeah. Okay. One interesting one. We're now talking about performance optimizations, about Tabular, PowerPivot, what have you. What are the benefits of doing this performance tuning? What's the improvement that you are actually capable of achieving? What have you seen in your experience?
Well, the last project I was on, we had Excel Power BI sites running a PowerPivot model. It was about 120 megabytes in physical size. Took about 500 megs of memory.
Okay.
And had gone through a lot of these mistakes we're talking about here with jumps. So you had several
a lot of joins.
Yeah. Lots of DAX performance inside the fact table. You had too many dimensions running.
Okay.
So what we did was we pulled all the calculations we could out from the model. We pulled all the we put as many of the dimensions we could either inside the fact table, or we put them in larger dimensions instead. So and by doing this, we managed to reduce the file size by 30% and the memory usage by 40%.
Okay, and the overall performance, how it is? How can we compare it? Do we have 2x, 3x, or something like this?
The first model we got called in to help because the first model didn't run on Power BI side at all.
Okay.
So it timed out. Whereas ours run fine.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's a couple of other things as well because these people, it was made from an Excel standpoint instead of from a Power BI and a PowerPivot standpoint.
Yeah,
so there were other things in here as well helping in it, but in general we managed to get it running. Running quite fine. So.
Yeah. Okay. So. One interesting question in regards to, or at least what I heard, is in regards to the way how this Vertipack, let's call it Vertipack engine works, because it's columnar, right? So, what's your opinion on optimizing those columns? Have you?
That's also a very important thing, yeah.
Yeah. What about that?
Well, because it's columnar, it will look on how many unique values you have in each column. It doesn't bother about rows, but it looks at the values. So, for instance, if you have a time and date
column,
that will that goes either into the millisecond, which is really bad because then you have almost non-unique values.
Yeah, no non-unique. Yes,
yeah,
exactly.
Non-unique.
Yeah,
because the columnar compression algorithm, it takes a look at how many unique values you have in a column, and then it does a number to store. Say, if you have columns with the values from 1 to 10, and you have 1,000 rows of 1 to 10, but you will still only have 10 unique values, 1 to 10.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, that's 11 unique values. Anyways, it will then compress from 1,000 to 10 or 11. Yeah. But if you then have,
and that's a huge deal.
Yeah.
That's a huge deal.
That's a very huge deal.
Yeah.
Whereas if you make sure that you have 1,000 unique values, you will get no compression at all.
Yeah. So more memory, more CPU to read that data, to process that data.
Yeah. And lots of memory taken. You don't save anything.
Yeah. By the way, is it so if you have only non-unique values, if you have only non-unique values, is it one-to-one the comparison between how much the data costs on the disk and how much it will be in the memory? Is it one-to-one?
No, I think it is almost there. I think it's a bit less in memory.
It's a bit less. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
There is small compression going on, but it's not very effective.
Yeah.
But if you the more you manage to compress, you can get it down to about 10% of the original size, I think.
Yeah. Okay. So yep.
Yeah. So recommendation is like when you have a time and date column, if you have to have time and date in the same column, at least try to remove milliseconds and seconds. You usually don't need those.
Interesting, yeah. Except for something very specific in terms of the business requirement, right?
Yeah. And if you really do have to have milliseconds, try to split up time and date into 2 different columns.
Yeah. So these are the 2 recommendations that I heard also from Marco Russo when he talked about Tabular. That the first thing is that try to round up your data, especially if it's numbers, because if you round it up, then the data becomes more like non-unique. Yes, more, and then the compression kicks in. Or I have heard the other thing which he said exactly as you, try to split the columns, the column probably on 2 columns.
Yeah.
And then you have more non-unique values, and then again the compression will hit.
Yeah.
So have you applied those techniques anywhere till now?
I have.
And the results are
very noticeable.
Very noticeable?
Yeah.
That's
because
interesting.
Again, you go from how many seconds are there in a day? 360 and
a lot.
6,000 something, yeah.
Let's say it's a lot.
Yeah. And then you split that up, so you move into 24 hours. That's only 24 columns or values in the column.
Yeah.
And then you have the seconds or minutes in another one, and you reduce it even less.
Yeah.
And then if you separate that one as well from the day, because we have 365 days a year.
Yeah, you separate that in another column.
Yeah.
It's crazy stuff. It's crazy stuff. Yeah, indeed. By the way, very interesting technique. You really have to understand how the engine works in order to figure out that may help.
Yeah, that's what fascinated me when I got into QlikView. This was before PowerPivot really was evolved or got popular.
Okay.
The way how effective this model was.
Yeah.
And then when I talked to Mike Ross about this in Oslo in August, and he confirmed that it was almost the same algorithm. He just said that he had heard Microsoft claim it was a bit better. But,
okay.
Yeah, well.
Interesting. Saying QlikView, what's your opinion on this technology? That would be interesting to hear.
I really like QlikView. It's okay. QlikView has also released now their own self-service BI stuff called QlikSense.
Okay.
Which is really powerful. I wish I could. I had more clients working with it, so I could play with it more.
Yeah.
But,
so you are not seeing it that well adopted.
No, QlikView is not as widely adopted in Norway as I would have thought when I started working with it.
Yeah.
Of course, QlikView is coming into a comparison that is slightly unfair between Tableau on one part and Microsoft SQL on the other part.
Okay.
Because Tableau is a very sexy and very nice looking graphical interface for showing analytics.
Yeah.
Whereas Microsoft didn't really have good solutions until now. They're still lagging a bit behind, but they're coming really on really fast.
Yeah.
Whereas QlikView is a bit of both. You have a very powerful, if clunky ETL part, which is
okay.
of QlikView. So you can make your own data warehouse really, and then on top of that you have the presentation layer.
Yeah.
With a very good algorithm or very good technology for relating data and also presenting it. So it's a very powerful tool. But the QlikView desktop or the QlikView client is dated when you compare it with Tableau.
Yeah.
And it's cumbersome backend if you compare it with Microsoft SQL Server.
That's a very interesting mix, by the way.
Yeah.
A very interesting position for QlikView. But in terms of performance, can we say that they're comparable?
Well,
the Tabular and QlikView, the engine.
Yeah, in terms of treating data and in terms of storing data,
yeah.
They are comparable. They do the same kind of performance in memory by treating data.
Okay, obviously they're doing almost the same thing behind the scenes.
Yeah, so, they're so close that you really can't see the difference.
Okay, interesting. One last. You said Tableau. I'm not in the BI space that much, right? So I don't do BI on a day-to-day basis for one reason or another. However, I have heard about Tableau and I have been continuing to hear about this technology. So I decided to take a course on Pro side, by the way, on Tableau, and I was fascinated by the ease of use of this tool and how fast you can build the visualizations and what a great visualizations. Have you worked with this technology till now somewhere in production, somewhere on customer sites?
No, I haven't been working with Tableau. I've only been meeting Tableau as a competitor.
As a competitor, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I've pulled Tableau in more as a comparison. Sometimes when I've been an advisor for clients, because for one customer in particular, we had a comparison between QlikView, Microsoft Power BI sites, and on-premise, mind you. So it's not really Power BI, but the same kind of tools, and Tableau and QlikView. So we had
the three major competitors.
Yeah, three competitors comparing. And I really had thought that Tableau would be so much cheaper than it was. Because I knew that QlikView was expensive. And for the client who were working with on-premise SharePoint, but internet-facing, this is 2010 and not 2013. So their license would need to be rather expensive. And I had thought that Tableau would really win that one hands down, but turned out that actually Microsoft ran off with the price.
Oh, that's interesting. So they are a bit aggressive there.
They are, yeah. And the thing is, I tried Tableau because I'm curious as well. I'm currently curious about new technology.
Yeah.
That's really why we're here, isn't it? Yeah. So Tableau is really easy to make nice graphs and nice presentations with it. It's a very good tool. ClickSense and Microsoft Power BI are lacking a bit behind. ClickSense is really, that's the newest tool from QlikView.
Yep.
You should really look into it. It's also very powerful in that it has a strong API and very customizable.
Yeah, whoa.
And then Microsoft is lagging behind in Power BI, but they're releasing new previews and new versions all the time. I've just started looking into the US preview.
Yeah, I think they really finally understood that they are lagging behind, and now they are going to push really hard with this, especially with the Power BI app and the Power BI preview that you are talking about. Yeah, definitely everyone should. Definitely everyone, at least in my opinion, definitely everyone should take a look at this, the Power BI app. Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to do in the past sequels, the past BI virtual chapter.
Yep.
I'll be holding a session in February where I'll be connecting Tabular with
the Power BI,
and I'll hopefully be able to present one of the dashboards that the preview is.
Sounds good. Okay. Anything else on top of your head in terms of performance in Tabular, in terms of performance in PowerPivot? Something else, something final, something that's on top of your mind? Do you have something?
Well, I was just thinking, when people have been working a lot with PowerPivot, but I don't think everybody is aware of the combination of PowerQuery and PowerPivot.
Okay.
Which is a very strong modeling tool if you want to do fast into market pilots or proof of concepts.
Yep.
You don't start with, okay, you and I are developers, so we will probably start up Visual Studio anyway. But if you sit with business and you want to get business users to tell you and show you their data, use PowerQuery as your ETL tool and model it into PowerPivot.
Yeah.
And just keep in mind that when you are doing this, don't start changing the PowerPivot model after you've built it, because that will break the relation with the Power Query.
Oh, that's useful. So don't change kind of the schemas, kind of the objects in the PowerPivot.
Yeah, or column names, for instance, or table names.
Column names, yeah, because the underlying queries will break.
Yeah. So if you want to change a column because you say it's not business friendly enough, you want to change the name to friendly, do that in Power Query instead.
And you have to come up with a proper name at the beginning, right? That's why you should plan a bit more, probably. Yeah. But planning, I believe planning in the world of SQL Server is also one of the topics that's everyone talks about it, but at the end of the day, it's almost no one takes care of this. Okay. So one last question. By the way, congratulations on the blog again. You started your SQL blog recently, and I hope that this post will be, the SQL Hangout post will be one of the first ones where you speak a lot, you will blog a lot. You said something about the upcoming webcast. Where can people find more about you? Where can people see you probably speaking? What can we expect from you in 2015?
Well, I had a New Year's resolution. That was my first proper blog post. I want to speak more.
That was important one. That was a really important one.
Yeah. So for now, I don't know where I'll be coming up. I'll be holding the session with the webinar with the PASS.
Okay.
And there will probably be a Norwegian user group in Oslo in March, April.
Okay, so the webcast was when? In February?
16th.
16th of February, okay. Power BI and Tabular for this webcast. Ooh, interesting. I'll try to join.
Tabular in Azure, mind you.
Yeah. Oh, even more interesting. Even more interesting. yesterday we migrated one of our future applications, business applications. We are building an app, an HR app in our company, and we migrated it completely in Azure. So Azure is a hot topic even in our country, even though Norway is a bit more, let's say, advanced country than us.
Well, we have all the oil, so.
So, except for the webcast, your blog, obviously, do you plan some SQL conferences?
Yeah, hopefully I've handed in a few abstracts.
Okay.
For Portugal, but of course you don't know if they will accept me or not.
Of course. Are you going to be on the SQL Rally conference?
I hope so. I'm not sure yet. I've asked my company to let me go, but because it's in the midweek and I'm invoicing as a customer, so I really don't know it until they let me go.
That's a hard discussion always.
And I'm helping organize the SQL Saturday Oslo.
Perfect. With Catherine in
August.
Perfect. Last year I was there. Last year, I have to say, I mean, seriously, that was a really nice event.
It was a really nice event, yeah.
Yeah. By the way, it's rare to say something like this, and I know that if Catherine sees this Hangout, she will be really happy to hear it. But it's rare to say that someone should come to an event even though he doesn't live in a country where the event is hosted. But I'm serious. If you are able to, for the people that are watching sometime later, if you are able to come and go to the Oslo SQL Saturday, just go. That's all I have to say. It will be a fantastic.
I have to add there as well, Boris, because Catherine was organizing last time. I wasn't. I was just a volunteer and a speaker.
Yep.
This year I'm helping organize, but last year I wasn't. Hands down, very impressive. There were 3 people organizing the event. It was damn impressive.
And now you are also in part of the organizers, so I believe it will be even better. So let's hope that this event will be how can we say it? Rock star level? I don't know. I will think about it.
Well, let's say awesome.
Yeah. Okay. So 30 minutes already gone by. I don't know if you have understood or really felt like these were 30 minutes. So thank you very much for your time. Thank you for being here, and people should join, definitely recommending people join your webinar, which is in February. I will share the video, and I really hope that this would be useful for people who are going to watch this. You gave some really interesting advices here.
I hope so.
Yeah. Thank you very much again for being here. This was 31, the 31st SQL Hangout, so kind of a new beginning here, because it's the first one from the 30s. So kind of a new beginning. So again, thank you very much for your time, and hope to see you soon. What else?
Thank you for having me.
Thanks again, and see you soon. Indeed. See you soon.
Okay. Bye.
Okay. Bye.